Kia ora, bros and girls. Welcome back to the channel. So I had a few questions about how to do this quest without using the Think synergy. I brought a different team here, but there's a few alternatives you can use. So let's go one by one, and I'll explain my team. So the first boss that you're gonna fight is gonna be a text prop. It's most likely gonna be Howard the Duck. Most of the times I've fought, and sometimes I think it's War Machine, but look, it doesn't really matter who it is. The nodes here that you need to care about is kinetic transference, so you're gonna get a lot of power, fighting dirty, and live wire. So basically, the whole point of this fight is that if you don't put a shock on them, then whenever they throw a special, they become unblockable, right? And likewise, they can put a shock on you. So you really want somebody shock immune, ideally, and also you ideally want someone who can you know suck power out of that opponent. So the best solution I've found for this is Doctor Doom, because he's both shock immune and he's got that power. And in this one, we're not going to throw heavies because we're not interested in the heavies. We're just interested um, in really keeping that shock on as much as possible, because that way, even if he throws a special, um, we're not worried. He's not going to go unblockable. And also, because of the SP1, you can continue draining his power. He'll never get to SP3, and it just totally fits into Doctor Doom's rotation. So if you have Doctor Doom, this, I'm going to say, he's probably your best option, right? So that makes this fight very, very easy. You can use, if you don't have Doctor Doom, you can also use Symbiote Supreme. Symbiote Supreme works as well. You can use probably Doctor Voodoo. I haven't personally, but you can. Um, but you just have to be careful of if they throw shock onto you. So I'm just going to throw the special straight away here to get as much damage as possible. You can also see that these guys, while they have a lot of hit points, they don't do a lot of damage. I think you can tank, at 5-star rank 5, you can probably tank 2 or 3 SP3s. So that's kind of good. It's not like if you make a mistake, it's game over. And I might just finish him off with the SP2. I could wait till the SP3, but this will do the trick. So that makes it a very nice, clean fight. And then you move on to the next boss. And the next boss is Venom Pool. Sometimes it's Groot. Sometimes it's, I think sometimes it's even Venom, maybe. So this guy has no hit, ebb and flow, which is protection, rich gets richer, and divine barrier. So again, you need one or two things. You need someone who's going to punish buffs. So again, if you have Doctor Voodoo or Symbiote Supreme, you can do both of the first two bosses, or Doctor Doom. And Doctor Doom, again, he can punish buffs and also he can drain power. So I find him very useful for the first couple of fights. Again, your cheap options are Symbiote Supreme, it's Doctor Voodoo. And maybe even Longshot. I don't have too much experience with Longshot, but I know he really, really punches debuffs. And yeah, I mean, once you get to the SP3, it's just your normal rotation with Doctor Doom. So the first couple of fights are pretty easy if you have this guy. So it's just a little bit slower than I'm used to with Thing, because with Thing, the fight's over in about 20 seconds, 15-20 seconds flat, and you'll see that from the other video. But in this one, you have to play the game. You have to play the nodes. You have to play the against opponents that you're against. But you can do some serious damage. So throw that, and then we'll throw the final SP3. And you can as well boost up. Remember, I'm not boosted here, but you can throw your health, your champion boost, your attack boost, and that will help speed up the fights as well, and probably reduce your ability to reduce your need for potions and revives. So that works. Doctor Doom, we're able to clean the first couple of fights. Now, with Ebony Maw, you can kind of go two angles. You can kind of go Human Torch, or you can go Void. You can even go Ronin to stun lock this guy, but I've opted out for Void. Um, just predominantly because he's better for the following fights as well, right? And remember, if you get a chance to heavy this guy, then by all means do so. And I think this one like degens you when you have a buff, and if you're close to him. I think if you're close to him, he gets Fury, and if you're far away from him, you get Stagger. But also, what you don't want to do is you don't want to dex or gain buffs against him, because he'll pretty much nullify them, and that will cast a degen on you. So you'll notice that I'm actually not dexing away from his specials. I'm making sure that, a little bit like when you fight against Dormammu, I'm making sure that I'm specifically evading at the wrong time. And the reason for that is because I don't want to take a lot of degen damage, but you can take a little bit of degen damage. It's not, I mean, it's not gonna be the end of the world. Oh, yeah, okay. So that's not as good as I thought it would be, but again, let's have a look at the nodes. So the nodes are personal space. Close to him, he gains Fury. Prey on the Feeble, far away, he nullifies your stuff. Yeah, and of course the Folter. So I'm just going to go in here and clean up with Doom, I think, because he doesn't have that much life left. And on the previous attempt, you're able to one-shot this guy with Void, so that's not really a major problem. But Doom, even Wasp is probably good against this guy, just because she does so much damage. But for the sake of this, we'll just finish him off with Doom and carry on. Right, but you can see there Void kind of did most of the work. Doom just used him to clean up. So then you jump into the next lane, and there's a couple more before the big boss. This time it's Miles. I can't remember who it was last time I faced him. Miles is a little bit tricky. Yellowjacket as well is the other one that always pops up. So with this one, you have to rely on debuffs, which is kind of why I brought Void. Because as a secondary, you can use Void in this fight. He's got Special Burst, he's got Power Thief, but really the one you really care about is the Whittle Down, is the whole, he takes less damage unless you have debuffs. So this is the reason why I brought in Archangel, but you can either use Void and Archangel, or you can use Human Torch for both, if you're very comfortable. I figured I'd like to have a backup. I'd like to have two people that can counter. So just depends on your roster, I guess. But the cool thing that I like with Archangel is not only does he do debuffs, he also does a lot of damage with the neurotoxins. He also does the ability accuracy reduction, and against what's his name? Against Yellowjacket, where you don't want to give him too much power, because you want to limit him to, you want to push him to the SP2, and you don't want him to push the SP3, the SP1 as much as possible, because that's not easy to evade. I found Archangel does a lot of damage really, really quick. So that's how I would get past boss number 4. And then boss number 5 is, if you're lucky, it's going to be Black Panther. If you're unlucky, it's going to be Crossbones. And the reason I say it's unlucky is because he's also got rapid metabolism. So Crossbones already shakes off debuffs really quickly, and then with rapid metabolism, he's almost stun immune. And on top of that, he's got Aggression Fury, so you have to try and play aggressively, but not too aggressively. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to go in with, I was actually going to use Iceman for this because of the, again, because of the special, but seeing as I have Archangel alive and well, I'm going to try to use Archangel, because then maybe I can get a neurotoxin on him and be quite happy. So you can see there, he's building up his furies, and so you kind of have to evade the SP and kind of play really aggressive. And yeah, he's not going to give you too many options to get the neurotoxin in either. And for some reason he's always above SP1, so you can't even do like full combos and play super aggressively. You kind of have to manage the power control, manage him between SP1 and SP2. Yeah, it's kind of a what I normally say is it's not a difficult fight. It's just a long fight. It's a tedious fight. So I thought that would kill us, actually. It didn't, so that's a little bit lucky. But again, you know, as long as he doesn't hit you, it's not a big problem. It's just if he does hit you, especially if he plays super defensive, then he can do a lot of damage, especially with that Fury. And also the fact that, you know, you've got Power Shield means that pretty much your specials are the only way to do damage to this guy. So it's just it's a super long, tedious fight, man. The other option, again, I might save Iceman and Colossus for the final boss. The other option is to go in with Doom, and this is another good reason to have Doom or Void. I found Void worked really well against this guy as well, because with these guys you can throw a ton of specials pretty quick, and keep him under the SP. Oh, I made a mistake there, but I don't know, should I revive and illustrate my point? Now we'll just go with Iceman. So Iceman is really good because the Cold Snap does work as a special. So it's not just a special that pops off. It's the Cold Snap when it expires. It does a lot of damage to Iceman, to Crossbones as well. So you'll see here this one does damage, and then he's got the Red Snap on him. And you'll see in a moment when that Cold Snap pops, he'll take damage again. So you can kind of just, yeah, it's still that super long, annoying fight, and you're trying to be aggressive to keep his Fury counters down because of the aggression Fury. You're trying to keep him under the SP2 so you don't have to evade, and you're trying to get to the special so you can do a lot of damage, because it's really you're pretty much staging. The other option I wanted to use is Havoc. So if you don't have Iceman, Havoc works. Void works on him as well. It takes a little bit to get the debuffs to stick, but I think after you get a couple of debuffs to stick, his ability accuracy goes down, and then he no longer his ability accuracy goes down, and then he no longer shakes off the debuffs, right? So that's kind of good. But yeah, anyway, this is it's not a hard fight. It's just a tedious fight. You can bring in Havoc, you can bring in Iceman, you can bring in whoever you want, really, of the mutant kind. And Void also works, and Doom also works, which is kind of why I like this lineup, because if you have Doom, Void, and Archangel, they're kind of useful for multiple fights on this path. Because if I didn't mess up so much with Old Man Doom, I'd be able to kind of get past the start of the fight, and then I'll just continually push him to the SP2, use the SP1, and then you're continuously throwing special after special, and you're power controlling him, and it works out really, really well. But as you can see, this is a slow, painful fight. A little bit like, you know, Crossbones in 615 or Sentinel in 616. Not too dissimilar to that. But this should probably finish him off once this Cold Snap pops. There you go. Cool. So that works pretty well. We still have 2 champs with full life going into the final boss. Now the boss is going to be a little bit tricky because the boss here is Bishop. It's always Bishop. And you need Incinerate Immune to play against him, which is why I like having Void, Colossus, and Iceman. It's also why I'm thinking about Human Torch and why I'm thinking about... there was one more person, but I forgot. But basically Incinerate Immunes, right? And the thing about this guy is once he hits a regen, he goes unblockable. And every 6 seconds, if you don't hit him, you're trying to bait out a special, you can get Incinerate, which is why Human Torch is fantastic, because he will do more and more damage and he'll reverse that regen. The tricky thing is he still goes unblockable. He also gets a prowess every time he throws a special. For each hit that was blocked, and every time he hits a block. That's interesting, I didn't know that. And when he's unstoppable, he's also stun immune. So he can be quite tricky. And what we're going to do here is we're going to jump in with Colossus to begin with. Now Colossus can do a lot of damage really, really quick. The trick with this guy, by the way, is when he goes unstoppable, you have to kind of play defensively, and then the rest of the time you kind of play aggressively. So that's alright. Now the unstoppable is gone, and we're ready to crank on. And Colossus is Incinerate Immune, so he doesn't really care too much. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait here, because he's under the special 1, which is good, because I don't want him to actually throw a special with that many prowess. And we'll throw a special. And the other cool thing about Colossus is he does a lot of damage, right? So he does a lot of damage with his parry heavy. So it means you can kind of wear down Bishop fairly well. Now he's unstoppable, and now I want to... Yep, now I just want to play a little bit defensively. What I'm trying to do here is trying to get to the SP2. I probably should have waited out this. So now we are going to... We're almost finishing him off. Throw the SP2. That might be... That's very close, isn't it? Oh, just missed that. So, pretty good attempt with Colossus, you know, I mean, got him down to 7%, that's 93% gone. And now we have Iceman. Iceman is Incinerate Immune. And lucky we have, he's awakened, so he's got that 5%, so he can only do 5% damage max as long as my armor's up. And now, we're just going to chill out while his regen runs out. And he's unblockable. That's okay, we'll take that block. And we'll finish him off. And you can see, again, it's itemless, it's snow pots, it's just a lot longer. I really like Thing, but here's a lot of good options. So, you know, Doom, Symbiote Supreme, Longshot, all good options. Human Torch, Void, Archangel, all good options. Havoc is a good option as well. So hopefully this helped, guys. For those that were going, well, okay, what if you don't have the Think synergy? What other counters are there? All these guys work. It's just a matter of playing to the nodes. And if you want a shortcut and you've got Thing and you've got the synergy, then just pop in here and tear it up and don't even worry about the nodes. Again, if it helped, you know, share it with your team, share it with your alliance, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Kakiteano, bros and girls.